Hey guys, welcome to Streak Initiative. This is Sukanya and we are covering international relations for this week, and today is the last day for international relations, all the themes that are important for Prelims 2021. Before we move on to the last few questions, make sure to subscribe to Streak Initiative. You can access all the questions compiled at one place in a PDF, all for free. You just have to register to the link that is provided in the description box. Let's move on to the last day for international relations, and let's tackle the questions here. The first question here we're going to talk about is International Labour Conference. Now, this particular piece was in news because for the first time, its session was held virtually. So that is why this particular news was there in your current affairs, and also you should be aware about what ILC is. So this is an important body. So the first statement here is that the member states of ILO meet at ILC every year in Geneva, Switzerland. And the second statement is that every 2 years the conference adopts the ILO's biannual work program budget, which is financed by the member states. Now, the answer for this particular question is C. Both the statements are very much correct. So recently, like I told you, the 109th session of ILC was held virtually, and all the member states who are participant of ILO, they actually participate in this particular conference, and it's held every year. And every member state is actually presented by a delegation of 2 government delegates and an employer delegate. So this particular and certain set of advisors, right? So every 2 years, again, their programs and the budgets are reviewed and something is adopted. So both the statements are very much correct. Since we are covering ILO, make sure, again, what you're going to do here is go through this particular body. You should know which year it was set up. Some of the programs that are run by ILO, you should know that. You should also be aware about there are 8 core conventions with respect to ILO. They are dealing with child labor, bonded labor, and freedom for association. All these, you go through them. They are also important. Then also member states. I think member states you can go through. I think a lot of almost all the countries are actually part of this particular body, and what all reports does ILO prints, that is also important. So 5 things important, just go and revise if you do not know. These are important things with respect to ILO. Now in the next question, let's look at another body. Like we did ILO, now we're going to do is United Nations Economic and Social Council. Now this is also another body which is important, and it was again in news for some specific reason. Let's look at the 3 options here first. So the first statement here says that India was recently elected to this particular council from Asia Pacific states category for 2022 and 24 term. And this body was established, the second statement, in 1945 by the 4th Geneva Convention, and is among the 6 main organs of United Nations. And the last statement is that the Council's 54 members are elected for a 3-year term by the General Assembly based on the geographical representation. Now, a lot of different stuff to learn from this particular question. So, the answer, let me just say the answer first. You can also attempt, you can pause the video, look at the options again, check your answer with my answer. So the answer here is C actually. So see, this particular body, India was actually selected, and that is why this particular body was in news, right? So India has a term for 2022 to 24, and it was in fact selected from Asia Pacific region, and along with other countries like Afghanistan, Kazakhstan and Oman. And right now there's another UN body member, of whom India is serving as a current member, that is United Nations Security Council. So that is also important. India is a member of that particular body right now, and next we have this particular body, right? So the first statement is very much correct here. The second statement here talks about its establishment. So it is in fact, see, this particular body, UN Economic and Social Council, is in fact part of the 6 main organs of United Nations. And it was established along with when the United Nations was formed under the UN Charter, that is in 1945. So this portion of the statement is absolutely correct. So what are the other 5 principal organs of UN? We've got General Assembly, we've got Security Council, we've got Trusteeship Council, we've got International Court of Justice, we did a question on this, and then UN Secretariat. And finally, this particular body, Social and Economic Council. So these are 6 main organ bodies of United Nations, right? So the statement, the portion that is wrong in the second statement is that the 4th Geneva Convention, now 4th Geneva Convention is not dealing with the establishment of this particular body. What is it about? So if you remember, this particular piece of news was there in news when we had that incident, the aircraft incident with India and Pakistan, where this pilot had actually fallen in the territory of Pakistan. At that time, if you remember, this particular convention, Geneva Convention, was in news. So Geneva Convention is actually the treaties which deals with the international treatment of people during war. So there are basically 4 Geneva Conventions. The first convention is talking about the condition with respect to wounded and sick in the armed forces in the field. The second talks about the condition for in the shipwrecked areas. The third convention talks about how do you treat the prisoner of war. And the fourth talks about the protection of civilian population during the times of the war. So Geneva Convention actually deals with these ideas. So it has got nothing to do with this particular organization. And then establishment of this particular organization. And then we have the final statement, which is absolutely correct. They are elected for a term of, 54 members are elected for a term of 3 years. And there are geographical representation, like seats have been allocated, like to Asia there are 11 seats, to 14 seats have been allocated to African states. Remember, we did a question on United Nations Security Council. Now, distribution of seats of that particular body is more important, I think, than this. But you can look into the distribution of seats here also, right? But with respect to UNSC, you should be remembering that, right? So the answer here is C. And let's move on to the next question, which is about an East Coast Economic Corridor. Now, this was actually in news because of India's approval of a loan. And the statement here is that it stretches from West Bengal to Tamil Nadu and connects India to the production network of South, Southeast and Southeast Asia. And second is Asian Development Bank is the lead partner with Government of India in developing East Coast Economic Corridor. Now, this question can actually be done both from the economic point of view and also from the IR point of view with involvement of Asian Development Bank. I think that angle can also come into play. Now, again, when you're talking about Asian Development Bank, you should know which year it was set up, the membership, how is the voting, how does it happens, and all those ideas, right? So that should be clear. Just Google it out. You should know the basic details about it, right? So this particular piece of news was in your current affairs because Asian Development Bank and Government of India actually had signed a loan that was to improve the connectivity and facilitate the industrial development in Chennai and Kanyakumari Industrial Corridor. Now, Chennai and Kanyakumari Industrial Corridor is actually part of the East Coast Economic Corridor, which actually stretches from West Bengal to Tamil Nadu, and ADB is the lead partner here. So both the statements are very much right. C is the answer. Now, economic corridors have been in news a lot. So make sure, even from economic point of view, the economic subject point of view, make sure you go through these ideas. The economic East Economic Corridor, the West, and there are dedicated corridors we've been building. So all these news have been there in your current affairs. So make sure you revise them properly. Another organization we're going to look at is OPEC. Now, OPEC has been in news a lot of time, and this question they're asking is which all countries are actually not part of this particular OPEC plus, right? So the options here is India, Russia, Malaysia, Australia, and South Sudan. Now, see, OPEC countries are actually oil producing nations, right? So they have they are the major players in the global production of oil, and they can actually regulate the pricing of oil prices globally. So that grouping is here, and that is what OPEC is all about. So India, for sure, I think you should know, is not a part of this particular body. So India is not a part of this particular body, and in fact, when you talk about OPEC, now OPEC as a body was formed back in 1960, right? And it was an intergovernmental body of 13 nations. And at that time, we had 5 members who actually had built up this particular organization in 1960, which was Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi, and Venezuela, right? So these were the original members. Now, when we talk about OPEC plus, now these are 10 additional countries other than your original country. So they include Russia, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Brunei, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Mexico, Oman, South Sudan, and Sudan, right? So we do not have Australia, and Australia is not part of OPEC plus. So I think the answer here is B. India and Australia are not part of OPEC plus. You can go through this membership of this particular country. This is also another important body that is consistently there in your current affairs. Now let's look at the last question of the day. Fit for 55 package is a proposal for which of the following organization? Now, I don't think you can really make any guesswork in these kind of questions. Either you know what this is all about or you don't know. So, yeah, these kind of topics, it's important just, have a brief glance over these static portions, these factual portions, so that you know what basically they deal with. So, Fit for 55 is a package actually aimed to deliver the nationally determined contribution and bringing the goal of carbon neutrality through proposed changes in the economy. In terms of, how do we cut down the carbon-based regulations, carbon-based vehicles. Like the aim here is to bring down the use of petrol and diesel by 55% by 2030 and 100% by 2035. So that is the basic idea here, and this particular initiative is actually led by European Union. So they are aiming to bring that kind of carbon neutrality, and that is why this is named as Fit for 55 package. So if they are able to achieve this particular this particular target, then I think Europe would be the front runner in this particular technology for electric cars and all the renewable energies like wind generation and hydrogen based fuel that is being promoted right now. Already Germany is like a global player in solar energy. So yeah, that kind of changes, carbon neutrality, those kind of ideas are very important, both from I think your environment point of view also. A lot of such questions are asked. So that's it guys. This was the week for international relations. Hope you were able to learn something from some of the videos, and all the best for your prelims. Keep on studying and keep on revising. Thank you.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Civilsdaily.